Hey everybody, in this video I decided to film a contour drawing demonstration where I use a center line approach as opposed to the straight line block-in approach that I used in the last video. I also filmed this as if I was giving a demonstration in a class if you were in person with me. I did that because it gives a really good flow in terms of explaining the thought process that I'm using while I'm drawing, and it kind of gives the overall start to finish approach to the whole drawing so that you can get a feel for how that operates, and hopefully that's helpful to you. In this video, feel free to kind of skip around, see how things are, and do not hesitate to ask questions, leave comments, let me know what other types of videos you want to see happen. I'm really working on trying to make this a channel that is for you and for your art education. So the more directed it is in terms of the questions you have, the quicker you'll get where you want to go. I hope you enjoy. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, in a previous video, I did a demonstration doing a contour line drawing using a straight line block in where we worked from the perimeter in. I'm now going to work from the interior out by utilizing a center line. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on dividing the object in half and using different forms of measuring. So I'm going to figure out, for example, the height of the handle relative to the base. And I'm finding that that is slightly more than half. So if we kind of start, I'm going to sort of ignore the spout of this picture to begin with. And I'm going to focus on the mass of the jug and then sort of measure and build off of that. And with the center line, the nice thing is that it's a great technique for symmetrical objects, because I know that, for example, if I come over this far on this side, I come over the exact same amount here. I know that if it comes in over here, it's going to also come in symmetrically over there. And I can build this object very quickly using those basic tenets. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just constructing some lines that sort of dictate different locations on the picture. So I'm doing the back side of the top of the jug. I'm going to do the front side of the jug, and then I'm also going to do the color change that occurs within the glaze. I'm not going to worry so much about those interior details, being that this is a contour drawing I'm focusing on, but I'm going to use those as measuring information. You can see I'm starting to kind of hone in the object. There's a little bit of refinement that still needs to happen. I can see some places where I just have to kind of shave this in a little bit more particular way to what I'm seeing. The object is a little bit more bulbous in the middle than I think I'm currently giving it credit for. Because these are light, faint lines, they can very quickly be erased. So I'm not really worried about how rough this is currently looking. I'm going to focus on actually just getting everything together in its proper placement. So this appears if my eye line is here, everything is still going to curve this way. So if I was to build this jug as a symmetrical object, now I'll use my eraser as a drawing tool, not as a corrector. Erasers make light marks. They don't fix mistakes. They sometimes fix mistakes, but they mainly make light marks. So this is now interesting. I'm noticing that this object isn't quite symmetrical on the mass of it. There's a pretty significant bulge here, and over here it's much more mild. So that's where we start identifying the inequalities within the model. There's a lot of symmetricalness in the things that we draw and observe, but we'll often find times that the particularities reach a limit, and when they reach the limit, we're actually getting specific to what we're seeing. We're not formulaic. This here is just off. Round. But now we're actually getting to the point where this object is going to start to need to get the rest of it involved. So I'm going to first figure out sort of the placement of the handle inside relative to the outside. I'm going to compare it to the bottom. I'm also going to compare it to this little notch in here, so that I can really hone in what exactly is going on. And I'm noticing that if I was to draw a straight construction line down here, I'm feeling pretty good about this shape, this negative shape right here. I feel pretty good about that. Now I need to see how much more over. That is going to be the outside bound. My picture handle, the widest point, is coming off at an angle off the center right in here. never quite reaches the height of the full picture. So it's going to come in there, and then it's going to start to hollow out. This is where that straight line technique from my previous video is really helpful, because you can start to really get these curves locked in just with a big series of straight lines. Connection point is going to be right in here. Let's see where that that's the basis for most of the handle. It kind of comes in. I'm looking at contour now, so I'm not really focusing so much on the form, but I'm just seeing where this contour exists. It sort of comes in, and then there's kind of a boxy wraparound that is the support for the handle. That's all there is to it. There's a lot of information here in terms of form, in terms of insertions and connections within this object. In the world of contour, none of that information is relevant. Just focus on the shape of the object and compare it. Continue to compare it. I'm noticing there's a little jog that can happen right there. And it's giving me more information in terms of how this handle wraps. So one of my teachers, Eric Bransby, worked with a guy named Boardman Robinson, and he would talk about he was an illustrator in the 20th century and a muralist, and he would talk about sort of the accumulation of lines being relevant in terms of effectively the form and likeness within a figure. But it sort of works here too, where I'm sort of creating a series of lines as I kind of feel out where the object is, and I'm using my eraser to sort of draw a more refined line, and I'm allowing those series of lines to kind of create a track, a race track almost. You know, I grew up in the world of Hot Wheels, so I think of like a Hot Wheels track, and I'm sort of letting those lines create a track that the correct path exists on. And then once I kind of have the track in place, I can sort of refine everything and get the drawing in its correct context. Okay. So now I need to draw this spout on this picture, and I think once I get that in, we'll just about have the whole drawing honed from a contour standpoint. Remember, this is not meant to be an extremely exhaustive form of drawing. In the form of content, now that doesn't mean it's easy, it doesn't mean it has to be fast. I'm sort of sacrificing ardent boredom with how long I might personally take on this drawing in the service of trying to save you some time so that you can get drawing yourself. But the main focus here is going to be on getting the contour in its correct location. And I'm even noticing as I'm talking that I'm not quite paying attention to what I should be, because there is a downward nature to the spout, which makes sense. Notice with that straight line blocking technique too that I was utilizing, you make indentations. You don't have to scoop to make an indentation. You can make an indentation by going parallel, jog, parallel. So I'm going to be a real stickler in this drawing about focusing just on the contour. In the previous drawing, I utilized some cross, and I did this in construction. I utilized some cross contours in the service of getting the object in place and sort of demonstrating what the object looks like in its form. But a really true to form contour drawing is going to resist the temptation to details that are not the actual contour of the object. This is a little crooked here. I think I need And now I will say too, my tendency, I'm not saying it's a good tendency, but it's just part of my natural habit, is to work on the quicker side of things and to pursue brevity. But that has less to do with what is considered a good drawing, and it has much more to do with temperament. And I think that there are times that I actually would prefer to have a little bit slower temperament, and that's something that I will undoubtedly pursue and work on. Okay. In the scheme of a true contour drawing, we're getting very close. I'm actually going to clean this drawing up, because if I was actually doing this as an assignment, right, my philosophy is to try and give you art school without the tuition. These are the kinds of things that they would be assessing you on, not because it's a good drawing per se, but because it actually demands a certain skill set that you have to have, right? And so being able to place construction in and then remove it so that it's not visible is something that might be a valuable skill within a drawing or a painting that you're working on. It's better to do it in this arena and learn that you drew a little too hard, a little too fast, than it is to be working on a big commission or a really significant work for a show you have coming up, and then to realize you've made a mistake that you can't really correct. Right, like this area right in here. This area right in here I would consider to be a little sloppy. So I might try and clean that up a little bit and refine it. Now here's another thing. In this area there are these ribs in the molding of this piece of ceramic. And so in here, I need the edge of the object. This is a way to get particular with contour. I need the edge of the object to follow this basic form. But what I can do in looking really closely at them is identify the fact that there are these little micro undulations occurring in the overall contour. So that's a place where you can use construction lines, and I'm seeing a little bit of that right in here too. So I'm going to follow that same formula. I've got the rib cage of the form, so to speak, that I sort of bulge out of. And then after we get past that last one, right in here, there's a noticeable smoothing out that occurs. At this point, everything that I'm doing is in the service of refining the contour that I have found. So I don't think that there's necessarily too much of a function in terms of bringing this drawing any further along in this video. I want this to serve as an introduction to this kind of exercise. What I'm going to also do is I'm going to leave a rubric out. I'll put a rubric in the comments. That's what I'll do. In the description, I'm going to leave a rubric of what I would be looking for in a drawing like this if I were grading it. Because I've never been a believer in trying to grade things subjectively in the world of art making. I've always thought that it would be most beneficial to grade things based on as objective a criteria as I could establish. So then, regardless of talent level, there is a reward for the effort of wanting to learn these skills. You can see I'm just kind of continually refining this contour, refining this contour. Just haven't quite gotten this edge yet. I think it just is needing to come up a little bit more. That's better. That's better. And I'm noticing a lapse in judgment right here. I was counting my chickens much too soon. But drawing with a soft touch has seemed to allow me to escape that without too much damage. There we have it. Not too bad.